We come to you this afternoon with this word from the Lord, recorded in the Gospel according to St. John, chapter 19, starting at verse number 25. Now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother, and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciple standing by, whom he loved, he said unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son. Then said he to the disciple, Behold thy mother. And from that hour that disciple took her unto his own home. My friends, we have here the biblical principle of honoring and caring for our mothers and our parents. Jesus, in the midst of his passion, after 33 years of walking upon this earth, 3 years of intense ministry, he is now in the depths of his passion. He's in the dying process. And as he is hanging on this cross, embarrassed, shamed, humiliated, here he is, torn clothes, nails in his hands and his feet, a pierced side with blood and water coming out, with multitude of people standing around watching Jesus hanging between two thieves. Can't you see the crowd taunting him? Can't you see the crowd ridiculing him? But as the crowd is looking at him, he's also looking back at the crowd. And as he looks at the crowd, there beneath the cross is two people that are identified by this text. One is his mother, in whom we knew he loved. The other, which the text says is a disciple, and we know who that disciple is John, whom Jesus loved. There they are. And he's already proclaimed this word to the woman, his mother, behold his son. But now he moves to the next point, and he says to this disciple, in whom he loved, behold thy mother. Behold this woman, who the scripture in Matthew, as the angel speaks, is a woman who is honored and highly favored by God. Here is a person that stays with her son throughout his ministry. She was there when he was born, wrapped in swaddling clothes. She saw his ups and his downs. She saw him even at 12 years old in the temple confounding those that are wise. Here, this woman, his mother, had experienced his ups, his downs, his good times, and his bad times. Isn't it the same case with our mothers? How they're there with us through our trials and yes, even our tribulations, through our joys and our happiness. And Jesus looks down at his mother and says to his mother that there is a disciple there, one who is also been with Jesus. But he was not just one who was in the crowd with Jesus. This individual was a disciple, a student of Jesus, a follower of Jesus, someone who had committed themselves to walking and talking and emulating the life of Christ. This disciple had designated themselves as the one who loved Jesus. This is the one that loved Jesus. He was part of the inner circle of Jesus. He was connected, identified with Peter and James. He was the one that was able to see the transfiguration of Jesus. It was this disciple that when he went to the Garden of Gethsemane, that Jesus allowed him to come a little bit further than everybody else. This was a disciple that Jesus loved. And I want to tell you today that as you are listening to this message and these powerful words from the passionate cross of Christ, that there's love hanging on the cross. There's love that's hanging on the cross to those who would be willing to follow him. This disciple whom Jesus loved, he preaches and he helps him and he instructs him. But at this very moment, he says to this disciple, behold thy mother.
All right.
He communicates to this disciple in his dying moment that this is the woman that I love.
Right.
This is a woman that brought me into the world. This is a woman that God himself loved and found favor in her.
Yeah.
You've been with me, but now
right.
I need you to do me one more favor. Before I leave here, I need you to take care of my mother.
All right.
Not only was Jesus looking at this thing from a spiritual standpoint, but Jesus was also being culturally correct.
All right.
Because the suggestion here is that his father, his earthly father, had now deceased and was off the scene. And the culture suggests that the widows and the orphans ought to be taken care of by the church.
All right.
I wish I had a witness in here. It's time for the church to stand up and begin to take care of the widows and the orphans. It's time for us to do our ministry of caring for the tables of the church and looking out for those that cannot look out for themselves. Jesus said to this disciple, he's specific, this disciple, take care, behold your mother. And then the text says, from that hour that disciple took her unto his own home. In other words, he treated her like she was his mother. He cared for her. He made sure that her needs were provided for. Jesus in his dying moment